Hey there, what comes to your mind when you hear the word debt? Probably stress, bills, and money problems, right? But here's something you probably didn't know. The rich people love debt. In fact, they use it like a shortcut to grow their businesses, buy assets, and build massive wealth, while most people are scared to even touch it. Sounds insane, right? In this video, you're about to learn how exactly rich people use debt to make more money, and how you might be able to build your empire. First, let's break down what debt actually is. Debt is when you borrow money with the promise to pay it back later. Most of us grew up being told that borrowing is always a bad idea. But for millionaires and billionaires, it works differently. Why? Because there are two kinds of debt. There's good debt, which is money you borrow to buy things that can earn you even more money. For example, using a loan to purchase a rental property that brings in rent every month. And then there's bad debt. That's when you borrow money for things that don't put any money back in your pocket, like swiping your credit card for the newest smartphone. Sure, it's fun to have, but it won't grow your savings. Wealthy people focus on using good debt to grow their wealth, to buy things that can make more money. The rich people avoid using their own savings. Instead, they borrow money and put it into things like property, businesses, or investments that can make them even more money over time. The trick is to make sure that the income they earn from these investments is higher than what they have to pay back on their loans. That way, they get to keep the extra cash, and they didn't even have to use their own money to make it happen. Now, here's another reason, which is taxes. When you borrow money, it doesn't count as income, which means you don't pay income tax on it. And while they do pay interest on those loans, it's still much better than paying taxes on profits. This is called tax avoidance, and I'll explain this in more detail in an upcoming video. Now, you might be wondering, how exactly does this good debt strategy work? Let's see a few smart ways the rich use it. The first one is real estate strategy. Rich people love investing in property. They often use something called a mortgage, which is a big loan to buy a house or building. Take Robert Kiyosaki as an example. He buys a house using a mortgage, then rents it out. Say the house costs $200,000 and his monthly loan payment is $1,350. If he rents the place for $1,500 a month, the rent covers the loan and he makes a $150 profit every month. Over time, as the house's value goes up and the loan is paid off, he keeps the full $1,500 rent as income, all while hardly using his own money. Plus, the growing property value adds even more to his wealth. The second one is the investment strategy, borrowing money and putting it into investments with higher returns. For example, a wealthy person might borrow $100,000 at a 7% cost per year and invest it somewhere earning 15%. That means he pays $7,000 in loan costs but earns $15,000 from the investment. After covering the $7,000, he still makes an $8,000 profit. The third one is the buy, borrow, die strategy. Sounds dramatic, right? But it's a favorite strategy among the ultra-rich. Here's how it works. Step 1. A wealthy person buys $100,000 worth of assets, like real estate or stocks, that grow in value over time. Step 2. Instead of selling these assets when they need money, which would trigger taxes, they borrow money using those assets as collateral. Say they borrow $20,000 against those holdings. Since borrowed money isn't taxable, it's a smart way to access cash. Over time, if those $100,000 in assets grow to $150,000, there's a $50,000 gain. Now, when that person passes away, their heirs inherit the $150,000, and under current tax rules, they don't pay taxes on the $50,000 growth from the original purchase. Later, if the heir sells it for $160,000, taxes are only owed on the $10,000 increase since inheritance. It's like passing go in Monopoly and collecting cash without penalties. The fourth one is leverage buyout strategy. Here's how it works. A wealthy investor finds a company they believe can be turned around or improved. Then, they borrow a large sum to buy the business. Once they take over, they use the profits from the company itself to repay the loan. After paying off the debt and improving the company, they sell it for more than what they originally paid. That difference becomes their profit. It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy the rich have used for decades. Now you might wonder, why would the rich borrow money when they already have plenty? Simple. As mentioned earlier, they don't have to pay taxes on borrowed money, and they can make more money without risking their own. It's like getting access to someone else's cash to build your fortune. But, of course, it's not without risk. If the market drops, property values fall, or a business underperforms, losses happen, and debts still need to be repaid. That's why wealthy investors often spread their money across different assets and carefully plan out every loan they take. A famous real-world example is Elon Musk. Even though he's one of the richest people on Earth, he has very little actual cash in hand. Most of his wealth is tied up in shares of his companies, like Tesla and SpaceX. Instead of selling those shares, which would trigger taxes and risk losing control of his businesses, Musk takes out loans backed by his stocks. He's even admitted borrowing to cover personal expenses. The idea is to keep his investments growing while avoiding taxes on selling assets. If you want me to make more videos like these topics, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.